I'm going live. It's happening. We're live.
We are.
Gracious.
Hi.
It's been a morning.
Hey, you and you over there.
It's been a week. We should be building the D850 with Lego. I was given by the lovely Michael Eleftheriadis.
What, D850?
No, a Nanoblocks film camera. It's not really a film camera. It doesn't actually take pictures. Maybe we should just do one live stream where I build it.
Oh, it's the Nikon, Neekan, isn't
Beautiful.
it? Yeah.
It's a thing of beauty. I actually wanted to build it over Christmas and then didn't get a chance to. But anyway, so maybe we should do that.
I think the rumor is that that's how we pronounce Nikon.
The Nikon.
Nikon.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, hello, folks. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. We're sort of barely here. We're just about here. I've spoken to a few of you this morning on the phone.
Yeah, we were in the trenches of the shop floor.
We have been in the trenches and we've just run upstairs to do a quick live stream. But we do, we do feel a little bit discombobulated.
Yeah, so but if someone asks you now, what is the price of a carton of milk, you now will know.
I will be able to tell you.
Exactly.
I do all my own shopping, believe it or not, so I do know how much things are.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Don't have a butler?
No, I don't.
Me neither.
Although I do find it funny that on a lot of sort of American sitcoms, I think the British people do have like...
Do you have a butler?
servants, butlers.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't.
I'm a new British.
Exactly. New age. Thank you to Fred for your contribution to the Coffee
Fred.
Fund. For those of you who haven't liked yet, please do give us a like. It would be lovely. If you're having any issues with sound or anything, just hit that refresh button and hopefully it'll sort itself out. According to all we've got in front of us, it looks like it's all working.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I mean, we've just literally took like 30 seconds to set everything up and just press live because otherwise we would be another 5 minutes late.
That's right. We would have been very late. Thank you to Adrian also for your contribution
Thank you, Adrian.
to the Coffee Fund. We've been using some equipment this week, haven't we?
Yeah. So 70-180 arrived, and we opened one up and we tested one yesterday.
That's right. So the 70-180, it's actually still with Con because he's going to do the brick wall test that you
Obviously,
love.
you love brick walls, don't you?
So much, because we did do our sort of field tests. We played with it out in the wild. We took random pictures of all kinds of things. And then we thought we probably need to do the brick walls just so that we can see what the corners and the edges really look like on a flat surface. And we're probably going to do that side by side with the 70-200 2.8 said.
That's true. And you also mentioned the macro on 70-180 on the flat surfaces wide open because Nikon published this support article talking about that, if you shoot in the flat surfaces, the middle is going to be sharp, but then you're going to get quite blurred soft corners.
Yes, which to be honest, when I was doing macro out in the field yesterday, I wouldn't call it official macro. I would call it close-up photography.
Because we had 1.4 teleconvert, so we can't get 2 times.
We don't have a 2 times at the moment.
Not available anywhere, apparently.
Can't get 1.4s either, but we happen to have a demo one of those. So we were using that, and I will say I didn't notice softness in the edges, but when you're doing that sort of close-up photography, the subject tends to be in the middle portion, and then you're actually intentionally trying to have a blurry outer edges.
For example, a flower. Yeah.
I was trying not to say flower.
I'm going to say flower. Yeah. Becky's not allowed.
All right. So Ian White said, does anyone know anywhere I can get discounted Nikon spares and parts? Well, I know the official place is Fixation.
Yeah.
They are the official spares and parts supplier for Nikon and possibly also Canon.
It used to be Nikon themselves, but about a couple of years ago, they just gave it to Fixation, and that's what Fixation is doing now. That's
right. And I don't know of anywhere else. There are some service centres that may sell you spare parts, like PJ Camera Repairs is a service centre, Sendine Camera Repairs is a service centre. You can check with Aperture UK. I don't know anyone else, to be completely honest, but those are the places that we do know. Roy said, is that throwing it against the brick wall? We will not be doing...
I mean, that would get us a lot of views, but yeah, we're not this type of YouTube channel.
No. Russell said, with that close MFD, that 70 to 180 is looking appealing. Yes, the fact that it has that minimum focus distance does make it very appealing, I will say. Particularly if you're someone who does the occasional bit of close-up photography thrown in with a bit of everything else. One thing that I did like using the 70 to 180 for, and which I enjoy using those slightly telephoto lenses for, is when you're trying to get those layered landscape looks.
Yes.
You know, I think that they're good for that.
Yeah, I mean, we had a couple of them yesterday.
Couple of
that was
scenes.
nice.
Yeah, so really good for that, and the fact that it's light as well is very appealing. Because we'd carried, Con had carried around the 70 to 200 with him all day.
For a whole day, literally, and then we used it for about half an hour at the end.
It was a bit more than half an hour, but anyway, it was the the black swans.
Yes.
For those of you
they
that
were chasing us.
Don't know, black swans are quite aggressive, and there was a big sign saying "Keep away from the black swans for your safety," which we tried. We were shooting from the other side of a kind of large pond or a small lake.
Yeah, and then they came in, took our cameras and our mobile phones.
And they came over and tried to mug us.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter how far away we tried to move, they just kept coming. They weren't actually antagonistic, but they would sort of make these slightly threatening little honk noises.
Like R2D2's style.
Very funny. So we used the 70 to 200 for a bit, but you do really feel the difference when you're out there. The weight is, I think, one of the biggest deciding factors for a lot of people.
It's very interesting because, in my opinion, 70 to 180, it's a great lens, but in this case, you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
Because, if you have access to 70 to 200, you will see that, 70-200 is a superior lens. So let's start with the build quality. Things like weather sealings, internal zoom, So 70 to 180, it has external zoom, so it actually extends when you're zooming in. Mm-hmm. And when you shoot professionally, you kind of assume that they will have internal zoom. And when you start to see that, you're like, oh.
This one doesn't have it.
So I would say if you use 17 to 28 and 28 to 75, 2.8 lenses, it will feel very similar in terms of build and the way you use it to those lenses.
Yes, exactly. Thank you to Brock Tungsten.
Thank you very much.
Says, good morning from Sacramento, California. Lovely to have you with us. Terry said £3 for a few pints of milk. So is that how much pint of milk is?
I think it's about a pint of milk for your almond milk that you drink, Becky.
Oat milk is more expensive than normal milk. But anyway,
it's just because you have Leica, Becky. I don't drink milk, actually.
No.
So I always drink my coffee without anything.
You do?
Just a coffee. So,
that's very true. David said, but you'll do the 35 Ti first, right?
It's done. It's on the cutting floor with Becky.
All of it.
And I think you've done it. It's ready.
I think.
It's just scheduled now, isn't it?
I hope it's scheduled. If it's not, I need to schedule.
But it's done.
It's done. It's a done deal.
What are we having this Sunday?
It might be that.
It might be that. Here you go, David.
I've lost track. It's been a week, folks. It's been a week. So that's a huge thank you to Terry for that. Sorry, because we went off the beaten track there for a second. Craig says, it's a great lens for the dollars. Just sold mine for the 180 to 600, but honestly struggled with the decision last month. Are we talking about the 70 to 180 still? Yes, I think we are. Now, so apart from the 70 to 180 and the 70 to 200, we were sent some goodies.
Oh, yeah.
Which, and we will.
Yeah, we're going to spend an hour opening them up.
I'm not going to open them all, but I will show you.
We got sent some lights.
We did.
To test.
Oh, gosh. So there's this little company.
Yeah.
Called Coldball.
It came from Jeff Bezos himself.
Jeff sent it to us.
Yeah, my mate Jeff.
So this is just, I guess, the packing list, is it? Anyway, that's...
Looks like a scripture. You unrolled it and it's...
Unfurled the parchment.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got some lights. We've got...
Got two lights.
What is that?
I don't know what this is.
It's a controller.
It's a controller, yeah. Controller 1, remote dimming control. Okay, so you can control the power of the light with the thing.
I don't know what this is. This is a mystery.
Mystery box?
Mystery box.
Do you think it's full of cash?
I would love that.
Bye, everyone. That was a great chat today.
And then we have this one.
Are those what, stands? Oh, no, that's a soft box.
So it's a stand with a soft box.
Nice.
I guess that's at least one light. So we've got some things to play with. And in an otherwise idle moment, as I like to say, we will shoot with those. Do you want to take the boxes out, the whatever's in there? Not that one.
You want to? Okay.
I do. I just want to see what the box looks like.
Okay. Well,
so occasionally, because we have this little channel, which has now hit 20,000 subscribers, we occasionally get sent things to test out and try, which is nice. It's a nice sort of like side perk.
Yeah, I mean, when people think that we just get things like you just send things and that's it, that's not how YouTube works.
No. Sadly.
Yeah, normally you have to get there, and normally when you hit 20K, you get these lights, and when you hit 1 million K, you get broncolors sent to you for free.
Maybe.
That's my dream.
Maybe. Andy said, when did we go over 20,000 subscribers? I think...
That was on Monday.
Yeah, Monday was when we hit it officially, which is fantastic.
Thank you very much, everyone, actually.
Yes.
You've done all this.
Yes. If it looks all in focus at my end, we are on face recognition. It usually chooses my face over Kon's. Wow. What a cute little light.
Apparently there are 2 of those and they're stackable. Now it says CL60, so I assume it's 60 watts. I could be wrong on this one. And if you stack them, it's 120.
Wow.
But I guess because they're so portable,
yes,
that means that you can take them with you. You can hold the camera in one hand, light in another hand.
That's pretty cool.
So we're going to film everything with this now.
I think if we can get a demo, if we can get an 85 1.2 to test out properly, then we could do a little studio jobby. If anyone knows any models in the London south-ish area, I'm like trying to think
South Sea.
Southeast, between London and somewhere on the south coast, let us know, because we would love to maybe sort something out. If people are having any problems, do refresh. I mean, we also obviously have bandwidth limitations, but hopefully we're as in focus as we can possibly be.
Could improve with white balance, but too late now.
It's too late. That ship has sailed.
Yeah.
Yeah, some people are saying it's fine for them, so I think it seems to vary a little bit. If it's fine for Tim in Australia, then it should be fine for you if you're in Southend or wherever you are.
So Tim in Australia, are you watching the Women's World Football Club? Cup?
Yeah.
Yeah, the games have started. England is playing tomorrow. I think it's very early. I think it's like 10 a.m.
Yes, I think you're right.
Yeah, the Lionesses.
Yeah, that's right. And there are lots of sporting events going on. We also have women's cricket.
Yeah.
We've also got Wimbledon. Well, towards the end of it now.
Yeah. But USA apparently is favourites for the Women's World Cup.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Because they invested early,
play football.
Like, in that developing field.
That's great. Richard says it's fine in Southend. Thank you, Richard. So we've got a lot of sporting events. And then Nikon are actually at the Open this weekend.
Where is Open this year?
It's in Liverpool.
Liverpool. Okay.
My best Liverpudlian accent. So the Open, which is, for those who don't know, golf, is in Liverpool. The Open each year is in one of the big, I think 4 main courses, or 4. I think it's 4. I didn't get to go last year, which was a shame, but I did go the year before.
You just decided not to go this year?
No, I just, with all the chaos, I couldn't. Could you imagine if I wasn't here today?
That's why she doesn't know what the cost of pint of milk is.
Can you imagine if I was at the Open and not in the shop today? That would have been a bit mad.
I know, they don't sell milk at the Open.
Anyway, and Sam said Nikon are at the swimming too. There was a bird show. There was an air show. There's a ton of...
Well, Nikon is a big supporter of Japan Swimming Association. So they sponsor all the events in Japan.
True.
To do with swimming, yeah.
True. So lots of sporting events, lots of very good reasons to be loaning out that one sample of the 180 to 600 that they have, which we have still not seen in the flesh.
It's either with Richie or at the Open, or with Richie at the Open at the same time. He's probably there.
You think so?
Well, like the whole Nikon goes in there.
I know, but I don't think it's his jam.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I mean, Nikon are an official sponsor of the Open, and along with like Rolex and Ralph Lauren and places like that.
Do they give like goodie bags?
No.
Can I go? Can I get you a ticket?
They don't give goodie bags.
I'll wear a wig.
I did saunter past the Rolex guys a few times, like, I'm here, I've got visitor pass. No.
And he's like, I've got Casio as well.
Yeah, they weren't interested in giving me any freebies.
No, no Submariner or something. No, okay.
You're the right person to speak to them, I'm sure, with all your Rolexes that you have.
Yeah, it's all 20 of them.
All 20.
Made of Lego.
Only.
Yeah.
Agile River says, what flash would you put on a Z6 II for taking photos of a black Cocker Spaniel? That's tough. They're like dark coated dogs.
Dark hair,
yeah, dark hair. What flash would you pop on the Z6 II?
Any flash, really. I mean,
SB500 and SB5000 will both do you fine. Even SB700, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, if you can do a little studio setup, so have couple flashes, so maybe to lit both sides, of the fur, that would be nice. It's anything to do with hair is, when you normally put another, like, you got like, let's say 2 lights, like we have here. One, let's say, is your main light, one is kind of fill-in light. Then you always put one slightly at the back just to kind of brighten this bit on top.
Yeah.
So that way it creates a shape of a head. So it just doesn't disappear there. So for furry animals, this is quite important. I mean, if you also photograph in a black spaniel on a black background, that's another tough thing, so then you need more light.
It can be a beautiful shot, I would say.
And obviously, ideally, with dogs, you want to have someone, that is like almost in front of them, entertaining them and keeping their attention. So maybe with some treat or something, because otherwise, I'm just have experience with my dog, and she's not really patient at all.
That's right. Sam said to highlight your bald spot. No, we don't want to highlight people's bald spots. Dogs don't usually have bald spots anyway. But if you're talking speed light because you actually are shooting out and about and you want to light up the subject while moving, then obviously much more portable would be the SB500. It's a little flash. SB5000 is much more powerful, also not too big. But in recent times, I've done mainly sort of school photos, group shots, things like that. I've done quite a lot of work. And I brought flashes.
Did you have to highlight the bald spots of the kids?
No highlighting bald spots of the kids. They never work with children and animals. I actually really enjoy doing school photos.
Well, you're a mother, so that's I guess that helps.
Yes.
Because for me, I would be like, keep them on a distance.
Just keep them at a distance and I'll take you. Tell them what to do.
You move over there. No, but it's true. It's to do with people, isn't it? So that's the thing. If you got the communication skills, and obviously you had kids of that age, so you know how to talk to them.
Yes, usually. I do. Yeah, exactly. And I did bring flashes. I brought my SB5000 with me in case I was going to need, and my SB600, just in case I needed 2 flashes. Because although it was forecasted to be kind of overcast, and I thought, nice even light, and we were doing it outside, I thought, if it rains and we need to go inside, I'll need to have a couple of flashes with me, but I don't want to go completely overboard and go studio setup. So we shot outside, and to be honest, it was bright enough that I didn't need the flashes at all. And I managed to just, if there were any shadows, managed to just lift those in post and it was fine. This is the beauty of having a Z8.
Well, but the answer is, if you need a flash, any flash generally will do. And if you want to have TTL functionality, then go for the current lineup.
Yeah.
So you got 500. I won't go with 300. It's too small. It's a nice little flash, but I would say if you want like a proper flash, then starts at 500. You got 700, 5,000. However, like I still have a SB28, which I use quite often on manual. I still have 2 SB900s or SB910s. I don't remember now. 910s, you can even set them up if you want to have TTL functionality. But let's say you want to say, I want one TTL flash on one power, this is group A, and let's say I want another flash as a fill-in flash on group B, but that would be, let's say, one stop, less powerful than that one. And it's still TTL though. Mm-hmm. So it's still, they talk to the lens, everything, it all works. So you can do this way, or you can send them to manual and let's say set one at full power and another one at half power. If you know what you're doing, you should be absolutely fine. If you use them manually, that's not going to be any different than, let's say, using strobe lights. Yeah,
so Terry says, I still use my SB600 and SB28 at indoor events, one on each camera. And he says, wouldn't you need remote controllers for flash on a Z system or PC cords? Well, if you're going to use flash on camera, obviously no, don't need anything. If you're going to use flash off camera, you can either have a flash to trigger the other flash, or you can use a cord, a TTL cord like an SC28 or a 29. The specs, to be honest, on cords and flash cords has not changed since DSLR days. So nothing new there. That's the same with DSLRs as well, because most DSLRs now, the later ones, didn't have a built-in flash to trigger, and they don't have any other way to trigger things remotely.
Exactly.
So that's the case with any flash not specific to Z. If you have a burning question, do put QQQ in front. We've got so many Trekkies in the group chat. I'm so happy.
Yeah, it's good.
Brilliant. And some really funny comments that I can't read. But
yeah, I don't have any Rolexes for Champagne Summer. No. Casio, Seiko 5, that's where it's at.
So Champagne Sumo does ask, would you recommend the Godox flashes for the Z mount cameras?
Yes. I would say if you ask a seasoned professional photographer, and I'm sure some of you are in the chat, will say, don't buy cheap, get a proper one. The color, the color is not, the quality of light is not there, etc., etc. That's one point of view. And, Seth is, who's not in the chat today, but he's that guy. He says, just spend money on expensive light and they will last you much longer. I think the beauty of Godox flash guns is the price and reasonably well built and just good build quality overall. And when they break, and they will eventually break, and they won't last as long as something like Profoto or something like this. But they are also fairly inexpensive to replace. So the answer here is, how often do you need to use flash? If you need to use flash occasionally, get a Godox. If you shoot day to day with the flash guns or studio lights, and this is your bread and butter, spend more money on more expensive light. If you can't afford Profoto, there's Elinchrom, which is really good, reliable brand. I own Elinchroms. They're fantastic. Obviously, Profotos are great, but, you can even go high. You can get broncolors and stuff like this. But advice there, if you don't use them very often, get cheap and cheerful. It's absolutely fine. You probably, you highly likely won't notice any difference when you start it. And when you're a seasoned professional, you will notice the difference between the two.
Yes. So if you're me, you won't notice the difference. I think.
No, I mean, it's generally, it's one of those, like, we use Godox continuous lights.
We do.
If one overheats...
We upgraded from... We started with cheap and cheerful lights.
Some Chinese stuff. Yeah, that wasn't great. I remember that. LED stuff. The panels.
And then we had... Was that the Niwa lights?
One of those.
Yeah. I think it was. Those were the panels. And then we upgraded to Godox for... But we use these twice a week, every single week.
Exactly. And when one burns eventually or breaks, that's just 200 quid or 250, and we buy another one. It's not that bad.
No.
That's the thing.
Sure. I'm going to answer Craig's question because otherwise the chat's going to refresh and it's going to vanish. So Craig says, shooting a stage event with mixed lighting, including LED with Z8, slightly concerned with banding. I mapped high frequency flicker to function 2. Any other tips for non-mechanical shutter and LED? We have had this question come up before.
Yeah, around Z9 release.
Yeah, exactly, around Z9 release. To be honest, it is to do with your shutter speed. And there are... I do have a couple of customers who exclusively shoot low light with specific lighting, and they shoot with Z9, and they're even slowing down the shutter speed so that it matches the refresh rate of the lights, has only fixed it to a certain degree, like 90% of the way. What we understand from asking the techie gurus at Nikon is that, unfortunately, the only way around that is to shoot with a DSLR if you are still getting banding, even after fixing your shutter speed. But shutter speed is the way to fix it whilst you're on a shoot if you're seeing that banding issue.
Yeah, on that note, I put a link on the GP review article. It's an interview with one of the sports photographers who's shooting a lot around those, those banners, electronic banners, etc. So that should share, kind of more light on that. But yeah, this particular issue, like people started to talk about it when Z9 came out.
Yes, so exactly, as I say, it has come up a lot, particularly with this whole sort of like, now we have electronic shutter, etc. Definitely makes things a bit more interesting. So Roy says that he goes through lights over a cliff. So he just throws his flashes over a cliff, a bit like the brick wall test that you were suggesting, Roy. He said, so now I get Godox because they're expendable and good for purpose. To be honest, I think Godox are of the higher end of the cheaper lights. in comparison
Yeah.
to, you know, cheaper lights, but still better quality than a lot of them.
Remember the time when the Bowens used to be a perfect beginner's light, you know?
Then they got fancy.
You know, and well, I think they now being owned by someone else, you know? So, the beauty of what we have now, the technology advanced so much that we can have a very high quality products at fairly reasonable prices, because before you would have to pay a lot more.
Yeah.
And yes, maybe you don't get that 5% of the performance of the more expensive brands, but it will get you there. And when you start in, it's very good. If you just should occasionally just get that. If you then decide that, yes, this is what you want to do, then I'm sure you'll find the time and money to spend on more expensive gear.
Exactly. Sam points out, so this might be helpful for you as well, Craig, David Bergman did a quick video with LED and shutter banding. I haven't seen it, but that might also help to answer the question. It is something that comes up because there's this kind of, we have this almost like a niche of event photographers that shoot in this specific, I don't know whether it's older lighting or whether it's just the refresh rate of the lights. I think that some of these older clubs as well use older lighting for their stage lighting, because that's where I've seen it coming up the most. See, Andy just repeated what I said there. We were thinking the same thing. He said banding happens with all older lights from panels. Doesn't matter if there's a shutter or not. All top brands have the same type of flicker solutions. So apparently the R3, which we don't know because we've not used one, also has an auto SS option. I think that's SS stands for. Shutter speed. Oh, what's the difference between auto shutter and auto shutter speed? So it detects the lighting. Do expand, Andy. I am confused of Pimlico. Roy said he's too lazy to throw lights over the cliff, but the wind.
Yeah, shutter speed.
There we go. Thank you. Assume so.
Yeah, when we start talking Canons, I'm
I know,
clueless.
then it kind of goes a little bit over my head.
Yeah, and
they have different names for things.
Yeah, that's the thing, and it's nothing to do with I'm sure Canon is fine. It's just we don't have experience with it. Yeah.
No, exactly. We do have some experience with other things, but I do find it funny. I have just finished listening to, here's an interesting one. Just finished listening to an audiobook of landscape photography. It's not called Landscape Photography for Beginners, maybe it is, or it's Landscape Photography, an extensive guide or something like that. What's it? Ross Hoddentott and, forgotten the other, Dan Lozano. And it's very interesting to have a photography book that is done in audiobook form. They've done a physical book, ebook, and an audiobook, which is great. I'm a massive audiobooker. I get through about 10 audiobooks a month.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
I normally go through about 1.5.
Yeah, I do a lot. When I'm driving, when I'm commuting, whatever, I do listen to a lot of audiobooks. And I found this quite interesting. The beginning for me was very much like, this is stuff that I know. This is talking about shutter speed, aperture, ISO. But towards the middle and the end of the book, we're talking about composition, and then we're talking about hyperfocal distances and how to do things like that on the fly, and the use of filters and stuff. And I thought it was very interesting.
I mean, I'm just wondering, because obviously photography books are generally visual, especially if you talk about composition, how do you do that within the audiobook?
It's really cleverly done.
Yeah, because normally it's like lots of diagrams, right?
Yeah, exactly. And at the end, they kind of set you tasks and things. I think that having a very basic knowledge of landscape photography is probably a must if you want to listen to an audiobook about photography. I think I was trying to listen to it from the viewpoint of a total beginner, and I was thinking, I think I'd get lost because you do need to be able to see the numbers and the aperture, you need to understand how those things correlate to each other. But if you already have some experience and you're just kind of listening to get tips, for example, or, I didn't think about focusing this way. I didn't think about the composition of this. It's really, really great. Anyway, so as part of that, there was a reason that I was talking about this, but they refer to multiple different brands, and they say in Nikon it's called blah, in Canon this mode is called blah, in Sony this mode is called blah, and I was like, and
in Fuji, good luck with that. Find it's in the menu system.
So that's how it kind of occurred to me that they use entirely different terms for exactly the same, like matrix metering, for example. It's called different things for each brand. Matrix is the Nikon.
So you're not really a podcast person, are you then?
I just, no.
Speaking of podcasts, if you haven't subscribed to Nikon Report,
You should.
that's a nice segue, isn't it?
Yeah, very nice. No, I do listen to the odd podcast, but I'm not a sort of like, I don't religiously go, new episode of that, I must listen to that. I'll pick it up in between things.
I listen to at least 4 podcasts a week.
Yeah, see, that's what you do instead of your audiobooks, whereas I'm all about the audiobooks.
True.
So there you go. So Andy says, I must have a great imagination to visualize landscape images. Yes.
There's a field and the mountains.
I imagine that.
And the clouds.
Listen, I'm a writer.
There's a random sheep
imagination.
and a horse.
Sheep and the horse, yeah. Ian wants to know what we use to clean camera bodies in the shop. I mean, sensor cleans we actually get done properly.
Yeah, with some chemicals.
With some chemicals. Do you want to share what
Secret
chemical?
Stash. It's a pure vodka.
Is that what you use?
Yeah.
Okay, good. What do you use? Genuinely, I'm intrigued. I'm not trying
Don't
to steal
remember.
this.
Don't remember now. I'll tell you what it is. I'll look it up.
But external cleaning, because also outside of cameras need to be cleaned, it's a really good idea to get some of those sort of fairly cheap soft bristled toothbrushes from a chemist that you can get into the nooks and crannies.
Eclipse, that's the one.
Okay.
So, and they have 2 bits, the one for general sense cleans, and then they do another one for oil spots. So let's say from the shutter. So, and if there's no oil on the sensor, you want to apply that liquid first, wipe it all off, and then put the regular sensor cleaning solution on that. But generally, if you, like, the idea is not to put any liquid if you don't want to, because you may introduce more dust specks than necessary. So you can get certain accessories that help you just to remove one spot on the sensor if you want to. And obviously you want to do it in a dust-free environment if possible.
Yes. Champagne Sumo says we use moonshine here in the USA for cleaning. For the outside of your cameras, I do recommend getting hold of, for like the grips, the grip rubbers and things like that, car dashboard cleaner.
Yeah.
Also known as Back in Black. It's also called lots of other things.
Yeah.
But never spray it directly on your camera. But if you spray it, and you have to do it in an open air space because it's very smelly. But if you spray it on a toothbrush and then you just gently go over the rubber parts, then you can get all of the dust and grit out and restore the grips of your cameras, and it makes them look beautiful.
Yeah, it's also if you have the rubber oxidized. So, you got white kind of rubber coming through, and it's normally happens to cameras like D200, D300, so old ones. Generally, that helps to bring them back to black.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Clues in the name. For getting into the little nooks and crannies, a toothbrush which doesn't have any chemicals on it will usually get rid of that. For your eyepiece cleaning, your LCD screens, the little eye sensor, if you've got a Z camera, you take the little eyepiece off and you've got the eye sensor there. I did a video on that actually, way back in the day, in the old days when we were filming on a potato. Then that just lens cleaning fluid. We do one that actually comes from Japan, which is used in the optics factories. It's called Cura.
Cura, yeah.
Cura. You can buy little kits off our website, but they do also, if you want to buy, you can buy big bottles.
Industrial style.
And we do have industrial bottles of that. That will clean everything from computer screens and phone screens to the front of lenses, glasses, you name it. And it's fantastic. Not shoe polish, not dishwashing liquid, none of that stuff. You use the stuff that's designed for purpose.
Some elbow grease.
Please. Yes. Oakley's glasses cleaning kit is great for glass, but like anything that is designed for optics, but you just have to watch out because there are tissues and lens cleaning cloths that have stuff in them and you can just make it worse.
The Zeiss ones are really good. Yeah.
Those
are
the
really
Zeiss
good.
ones, although they're throwaway. So
they're pre-soaked basically.
Yes, exactly. John can testify. He says it is a good cleaner that you sell. Well, it is, in fact. It is really fantastic.
We get it delivered from Japan, actually.
We do.
Yeah.
And Q-tips, or cotton buds as we call them over here, are good for getting into little nooks and crannies as well. I mean, this is the thing. I sometimes will watch someone repair an old film camera on they have like little tutorials on YouTube, but they also post them as reels on Instagram and shorts and stuff. And they'll take apart the camera and they get into all the nooks and crannies with these tiny little brushes and Q-tips or cotton buds. They use those a lot. Surgical spirit sometimes gets used for areas of corrosion. Like
IPA.
I don't know about IPA, but if you...
Is that prophyl alcohol, not the pale ale?
No, not the pale ale. So if you're living in an area where it is very, very humid, for example, or near the coast where you get a lot of salt water, then sometimes the sort of tops of the metal parts of your camera can start to oxidize, and they'll leave a little sort of white film, which will eventually rust. So for that, surgical spirit is your friend. I think that was a really extensive answer to Ian's question. 20-minute answer to your question.
Is it Ian who bought Bronica because of me? I saw it somewhere in the chat earlier.
Was it?
Think so.
I don't know. Yes, champagne.
Congratulations.
I don't know. If it was, then yes, congratulations, but I don't know. John says, my rubber eyepiece has dropped off my Z9. What replacement would you recommend? I think the standard one is...
DK something?
DK... it's not DK29. I think it's a DK30.
It used to be DK18 on all of them. And this one is DK33.
I was going to say it's a 30-something because it's 29 is for the 6.7.
There wasn't DK18, DK17
That's
was
right.
a standard on D850, D6, D5, all the Rand eyepiece cameras.
Yes. Andy, you're quite right. Don't use the alcohol on the rubber. This is literally just for the oxidized metal parts.
Absolutely.
There's different tools for everything. You can't just, wipe it off with a Dettol wipe. I don't know if... does Dettol exist in America? But anyway.
I mean, you've got expensive piece of gear.
Yeah.
So it's good to spend a little bit of money if you want to do those things, a little bit of money on cleaning solutions, and then you have that kit, and that probably will last you for quite some years, I would say.
Yeah.
So don't just buy own ones. Just, read up. There's lots of articles online telling exactly what you need to buy. Yeah.
Exactly. Jan says still have a can of Kodak lens cleaner. So there you go. It does last an awfully long time. I think also if you are living in a humid environment, you really have to keep an eyeball out for fungus.
Get a drying cabinet.
Yeah.
Yeah, do invest in that. They're reasonably
worth it.
priced nowadays, yeah.
It's really, really worth it because if you are living somewhere where it's very humid, fungus is your worst nightmare, humidity, dampness, anything like that. Even if you live in like a basement and you've got a bit of damp and you don't necessarily notice it on a daily basis, your camera equipment will feel it first. And once that fungus eats into the glass, it's a
over.
write-off. Yeah. Okay, it was Ian. He said, lol. Well done.
So I'm selling mine if anyone wants. Just kidding. No, you can't have too many medium format cameras, I think.
As we are discovering slowly but surely, I think we've added a few more to our collection in recent times. I promised we wouldn't talk too much about film today.
No.
To someone I was speaking to earlier on the phone.
Yeah.
Said, you talk about film too much. I'm sorry.
So what...
I actually have some film that's just arrived for me, but I'm not going to open it. I'll just leave it. I'll restrain myself.
And have you decided on your newly acquired medium format camera?
I haven't. I brought the film though for sending some off for developing.
The thing is, if Becky doesn't buy that medium format film camera, I will. So that's...
I have to buy it so you don't have
Exactly.
Oh dear. And Roy said Silica Gel Packs save camera from mold. They do, but you do have to replace them out quite frequently. Like a single Silica Gel Pack that's 30 years old will not save your camera from mold.
I think you can recharge them.
You can.
I think you stick them in an oven or something.
Exactly
and then,
that.
Yeah.
Exactly that.
But you can buy the new ones, So
I mean, you can
they're
buy
not that expensive.
Big bag of
exactly.
them. I have tons in my camera cabinet just to make sure that everything stays nice and dry. But also there's things like we've had people who they've gone on holiday, camera bag has gotten a bit of sea spray or something like that, and then they've come home and they haven't taken the equipment out of a damp bag, and that's surefire way to end up with a moldy camera. So do avoid that if possible. Terry says you can recharge silica gels in the microwave. Excellent. Good to know. Probably need to do a recharge of mine very soon. Don't use Brillo pads for cleaning cameras. Definitely not.
It's going to shine, though.
I do love people's tips, though. I mean, the serious ones. The problem is that I don't know if everyone can tell who's being serious and who's not.
Yeah, do your research first.
Yeah, so there's a full disclaimer. If you do take on board any of the tips, please continue to research, because some people do put some sarcastic comments and I don't want to be responsible.
I don't know if you've ever been on Reddit. There's a group called DIY, so do it yourself, about house repairs. And normally if you go there and say, how do you do this?
You get a load of sarcastic comments.
Yeah, that's just
wonderful.
something, yeah.
Hello, Joy, who's better late than never. Nice to have you here this afternoon. Paul says, when you tested the Voigtlander 23 f1.2,
we haven't tested 23 1.2.
I wish I had tested that lens.
I'm looking forward to the Voigtlander 28 2.8 that they announced for Leica.
The little one.
I'm so excited. I've got the Ultron, and I still want to get this one.
Did they just announce a 70 or a 75 1.9?
No, 75 1.9 already exists.
Oh, they're just doing a whole stint on promoting it at the moment.
Yeah, but that's been out for 2 months or so.
Oh,
it's supposed to be a good lens as well.
Maybe that's why they've just gotten a whole bunch of sample images and they're just like, here is what it looks like.
Here's what I think about Voigtlander lenses. I feel like if they can release lenses for Nikon about the same size as they do for Leicas, that would be incredible. Because obviously they rehouse them, and then that makes the lens quite bigger, Yeah. So I don't know, like I like this 28 2.8 is tiny.
It is. You're very excited about this.
Yeah,
lens.
and they have two versions. They have the vintage one, and they have the modern one.
Yeah.
And I can't decide which one I want. I mean, technically, I'd rather go for modern one because it's much easier to use, but the vintage one is so lovely.
This is like my first world book problem that I was talking about earlier. Rakesh, thank you very much. Viltrox have a 75 1.2.
Yes, that's a DX lens. Just came out. So Matt Irvin had a video on it, I think.
Oh, exciting.
Yeah. And it's autofocus lens.
Yeah, which is great. Terry lives in a rainforest. Everything gets pulled out at home, dried with a cloth, and put out in the open air overnight. That's sensible, yeah. Keeping it not in a contained, like an air. What's the word I'm looking for? Airtight container. I don't recommend airtight containers for the simple reason that if you do get humidity trapped in them, then that's it for your equipment. Michael Brown said, talking about expensive equipment, what insurance would you recommend? This is a good question.
Well, there are two types of photographic insurances. If you go with a specialized insurance, so there's a hobbyist one and there's a professional. Normally, a professional one will include public indemnity insurance and things like this. So really, a lot of people can cover their photographic equipment under their home insurance as well. You can get different quotes, etc. But yeah, if you're a professional photographer, then just take a professional insurance. Take several quotes. Obviously, you need to make sure that things are covered. If you get replacements like for like, or if the equipment depreciates with the time, that's all will affect your quote. So the idea is, definitely you want to probably spend a couple of nights just researching all this, get different quotes from different suppliers, check the reviews, and then decide which one you want to go with.
Yes. Now, just to give you some brands straight off the top of our heads that we have dealt with in recent years, we have PhotoGuard, which actually Andy Miller is using. He's just said, I'm currently on PhotoGuard. Another one in the UK over here is Aduki, which is Aaduki.
It's like Aaron.
Aaron. Any Key and Peele fans out
there? Yeah. Lovely sketch.
Yeah, brilliant. So there's Aduki, and then the other one is Towergate. Now, Towergate are on the expensive side. In the past, I've found that they are very, very quick to pay out if you're a professional. But with all insurance companies, unfortunately, it's going to be hit and miss. Sometimes we have people say, oh, this insurance company is fantastic. My camera was stolen at an airport on Tuesday afternoon, and by Wednesday they'd already settled the claim. And then you have other ones where it's like, I've been fighting for 3 months to get my camera replaced. So you do have to do your research a little bit. As Andy said, your home insurance will only cover you for very limited value.
Exactly, yeah.
Sometimes also worth checking with your insurance company whether they'll do a like-for-like replacement or whether they will do a new for old. So, for example, if you've got a 3 generations ago camera, will they replace it with the current model? It's it can be a bit of a minefield.
There's a thing as well called time abroad as well. Some of them allow 30 days, some allow 60 or 90 days. So if you travel abroad quite often, that's also good to know.
Yeah. And as Andy Hayter said, if you cover under home insurance, read the policy details, as it may not cover accidents out of the home. So
lots of things to check. That's the thing. So home insurance is, I would say, if you don't have a lot of equipment to cover, and you need to talk to them to make sure that those things are covered. That's why it's much easier just to go to specialized insurance, where all those things kind of been already, it will be in a policy wording, etc. So you can just read through that and decide if it's worth for you. Yeah,
exactly. And Toby, darling, I love your handle. If that's your real surname, that's fantastic. How good is the free cleaning kit you get when you order gear from Amazon? I don't think I've ever bought a camera or a lens from Amazon. But what cleaning kit do you think they offer?
Never bought. I don't think I would want to buy an expensive lens from Amazon.
No.
Like anything, let's say about £500, probably I won't buy.
So I don't know is the answer. I don't actually know what they supply with their stuff, but that's...
Okay, maybe if it's a Chinese lens, TT Artisan and stuff like this, then it's fine from Amazon, but I wouldn't buy like a Nikon lens from Amazon.
No.
I don't know why, but just, because we work in a camera shop, I guess. But, I personally think, I would just worry too much in terms of delivery, how they package it. Yeah. I mean, they package things sometimes so randomly that some tiny thing can be overpacked. Yeah. And some big thing they can just put label on top of the box.
That's what happens to me now more and more. Just big item comes, it's in the box. It's for all the world to see. It's just got my label on it.
Ooh, I bought X Pro 3 from Amazon.
Oh, did you?
Because they were £200 cheaper than everyone else. It came unbroken.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's not very good,
And I sent them back and then I went to fixation and bought one.
There you go.
Here we go.
Champagne Sumo says, does anyone use
X Pro 2.
software to catalogue their gear? Do you use software to catalogue what you have?
A spreadsheet with the serial numbers, yeah.
I should probably do that with all.
So you know how much equipment you have, and then it's like, oh my god.
And then you think, oh
so
no.
It's a reality check.
It's quite good for insurance, though. I probably need to do that. Now. There was a comment I wanted to read. Oh, Sam said, Michael Putland's book is available in languages with English. Is there an English version or just how it comes? Hard to find otherwise. So the English version went out of print. As far as I know, they weren't reprinted. We have one that was gifted to us by Michael. We used to stock the English version, but
I got a signed copy. Pre-production.
I've got a signed copy.
The beta version.
It's not mine, really. It's Gray's. But anyway, it's in the office. I actually took the photo of him signing it for us, which was very, very nice. But but I don't know if English ones are still generally available, unfortunately, Sam. And Champagne Sumo said, off topic, do you prefer ebooks or regular books? I read both. Both.
If it's a photography book, print any day.
Yeah.
It's a nice object to hold in your hand.
They're
really.
usually works of art in themselves. Yeah. And to be honest, I'm very much one of those people that buys like fancy editions of books that I've already read. Like if I've got an ebook that I really liked, I will go out and buy the physical book just so I can store it on my shelf like a serial killer, like a trophy. Like I read that. Anyway.
Yeah, I think it really depends what books are those. Because, if you buying some education book or something like this, you don't really need a print book in a way,
No.
So, but if you buying a beautiful, I don't really read fiction. Like I read autobiographies and some financial books and something like this. So I don't really need a proper book for that. Kindle is fine.
Yeah.
But if it's like a nice limited edition of some beautiful sci-fi book. Mm-hmm. I'll take it.
Very nice box sets.
You know what I'm watching now?
We could talk about books all
For
day.
All Mankind, and it's...
I have to get something.
It's a TV show on iOS, on Apple.
Yes.
And if you're into sci-fi, you really appreciate that show. I can tell you that.
I have to show my gift.
Oh, yes.
From David.
Speaking of sci-fi.
So this is possibly the most beautiful mug I've ever received. David, aka the Drunk Wedding Photographer, sent this to me. I posted on my Instagram for anyone who didn't know, who doesn't follow me on Instagram, and I said, who sent me this gorgeous mug?
Who is this person?
And it was David. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. Also, thank you to Randall for your contribution to the coffee fund, who said, have a large frappy mocha on me and stay cool.
Yeah, and I want to say, David, I feel empty-handed.
Yeah. David said, when I buy pens from Amazon, they ship them in a sturdy box. Makes no sense. It's just, there's no rhyme or reason behind it.
I once got shipped vinyl with a label on the vinyl.
Oh, no. so bad.
And I was like, I want a refund. Yeah. Why? Just look at this.
Because you didn't pack it properly. So Vince points out that Amazon is an authorized Nikon dealer. You have to make sure Amazon is selling it. This is the problem because sometimes, and we get this, being a retailer, we do obviously keep an eye that we're on par price-wise with all of the other
have to be
dealers. We have to be. Yeah. We're in the world of the internet where people go online and they look for the cheapest price. So we pretty much, everyone in the UK at least, is supposed to be roughly about the same. And sometimes Amazon will just suddenly appear with this wild, like £500 cheaper than everyone else. And unfortunately, there's no easy way for the buyer to discriminate or determine who or where this thing is coming from. So you do have to be careful when you're buying from Amazon. I mean, obviously, it's great for some things. Their whole ethos is that they're trying to take over the world, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, they can afford, because they buy very high volumes. Mm-hmm. They can sometimes afford to sell at a loss.
Yes. Because
they're going to sell not even in double digits, in triple or maybe quadruple digits, So in that way, they can, first of all, negotiate the price with the supplier, a better price, because they're going to buy more. Mm-hmm. And also they can sell at a loss without really feeling it. Here we have it.
Yeah.
Because Amazon is also now really big on digital goods.
Yes.
And digital goods have much higher margin as well. So if the physical goods, I could be wrong on this one, but from what I remember reading on the Amazon financials, they're not really making a lot of money on the physical goods. As far as I remember, I could be completely wrong. That was a few years ago.
I remember seeing an interview. Sorry, I'm just going to move that there, because your hands are very gesticulating, and I know
I'm Italian. I'm secretly Italian,
and I don't want you to touch my mug.
No, David apparently is saying me something. I think it's a bottle of tequila.
Maybe. It might be.
Or mezcal.
I was going to say mezcal, exactly. So, yeah, I mean, definitely not denying that the service is good when they send out next day delivery, and we're all very, I think, acclimatized to that now. But I saw an interview with Jeffrey Bezos.
Our mate Jeff.
A while back. And he specifically said, my whole ethos was, I don't care if I lose money on it. I'm trying to make it the go-to place for people to shop because I want them to be able to find everything that they need.
And let's be honest, they probably succeeded. I mean, for a lot of people, at least, you know. Yeah, that's for sure.
Exactly. Now, Oracle Test Lab says, I have ordered a Z8 and it's been 2 months already and didn't get it yet, but there is already some issue. Now, here's the thing. The issue, the little service advisory actually affects a very small number of cameras, and it was based off a handful of people reporting that their lens wouldn't lock onto the camera. It's a tiny little part. Nikon will, as some people will comment, have already sent their camera off and received it back in a very short space of time. But any cameras that were shipping from the date of the service advisory onwards are not affected. So if you haven't received your Z8 yet, then I can assure you that the Z8 you receive, if you bought it from a proper place, will not have an issue.
Yeah, in fact, we had a customer today who was collecting his, and he asked this specific question.
Yeah.
And we said, no, all those cameras that we had at the time of the announcement, they went back to Nikon.
Yes.
Brand new.
Exactly. So we didn't have any free stock on the shelves, but we did have some customers who hadn't picked up their Z8s yet. They were in the shop. We contacted the customer, said, we're going to send yours back to Nikon already, and they replaced them out for us. So it's a really straightforward thing. I mean, yeah, as I say, small number of cameras, but in order to err on the side of caution, Nikon have just said these could possibly be affected. So just make sure that nothing comes up for you in the future. We're going to fix them now, or we're going to replace them now. So keeps things easier for them moving forward, because we assume that this Z8, the camera is going to be with us for a good long while, I think.
Yes.
I can see, okay, so we've got Z6, we're actually about to run out of time, which is amazing. But anyway, we can see that the pattern of replacing Z cameras is much slower than it was in DSLR days, I would say. At the moment, I don't think we're going to see a Z8 replacement as quickly as we might have done if it was DSLR.
No, I mean, let's see. I mean, probably the next big flagship, the earliest probably would be the Olympics in Paris in 2024. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's potential time frame for release for Z9 Mark II.
We'll do
no, this is just if we hypothetically thinking, so we without, like not telling the truth or anything. You know, that's just hypothetically speaking.
Yeah.
You know, that would be the next one. But if you start to think, well, what can they add to the Mark II version of the camera?
Yeah.
So I'm sure there's going to be some improvements, but it's not going to be a revolutionary jump. So similar to when they had D4, D4S, you know, so there was 2 years apart between them. That's what they used to do. But you're right. They don't go on that 2-year cycle anymore. So it's now normally it's like almost 3 years. If you look at even generation 2 cameras, they're 6 and 7 Mark IIs. So it's they're on their 3rd year now, right? So yeah, so we're expecting this, you know, the updates to happen eventually, you know.
That's right. And you'll see the comments from our viewers. So John says they sent it back with a few freebies in 7 days. Took 7 days from sending to getting it back, which is fantastic.
That's good.
Fred said when you send them back to Nikon, they also give it a proper cleaning and performance check. So really, honestly, I think they've done very, very well under the circumstances. We've seen some of the freebies that they throw in. It's really nice.
Yeah, under the circumstances, of course.
Yeah.
You know.
Obviously, in an ideal world, there would be no service recall.
Exactly.
But what I'm saying is that they could have brushed it under the rug. They could have said, okay, well, these three...
If your lens fall off...
Your 3 or 4 people have had this problem. It's probably nothing.
Well, the new drama now that the lugs are coming off, that's like the new drama. But apparently now it's like, if you look at all the Facebook groups, like I do look at the Reddit and Facebook groups just for the podcast, you know, so I have to do this. I don't enjoy that, but I have to do that. So, and this is the drama that is developing right now, is the lugs are falling off, you know.
But if I post a picture with like a broken lens on a Z8...
but that's how internet works. You see what I mean? It snowballs, you know.
It's so unbelievable. I've seen the same picture. 3 people have sent me the same picture and said, oh, I saw this post. I'm like, it's the one person. So anyway, there you go. I'm not going to get into that anymore because it's a subject that really winds me up. We have lots of good and exciting things in store for you. Once I've figured out what video we're uploading on the weekend, I think it's already scheduled. Yeah,
35 Ti?
I think so.
Okay.
If it's not, then I'll go and do it now. So we have video coming out this weekend as per usual. We've got the podcast, might be a couple of hours later this week.
That's probably going to come out on Wednesday next week instead of Tuesday.
Yes, for very exciting reasons. And then we will have we have a visit on Tuesday.
It's exciting news. I think, what's
something
scheduled?
you
Do you
don't
know
know
something? Yeah.
No, we have a very exciting visit on Tuesday. Exciting for Grace. And then we have our live stream next week. So lots for you to fill your eyeballs with. Have a great weekend shooting all. We've thoroughly enjoyed this afternoon. Thank you for giving us a brief respite from answering the phone.
If you haven't subscribed yet, that really helps the channel. You know, so we want to get another 20 on top of the 20. That would be nice.
It would. And thank you so much for all your likes so far, all your coffee fund contributions. Anyone I didn't thank, I apologize. Thank you. And have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.